welcome to another installment of Magic Monday. My name is Angelina, and every Monday I do a video revolving around magic, whether it's empowerment, self-love, spell work, anything witchy. So if you're returning to my channel, I welcome you back with a big hug and open arms. And if you're new to my channel, welcome to you too. Today I wanted to talk about not giving a fuck and how I started doing it. I'm also going to be doing my skincare routine while I do it. Today I'm using all Jam Rainy products, which I can list down below if anybody's interested. But this video isn't about skincare. This is about not giving a fuck. So once upon a time, my whole life, I gave too many fucks. I cared too much about what other people thought of me. It's kind of funny because there's nothing really wrong with that, but we find ourselves stressing out and not being our most authentic selves when we do that. And why would we shrink ourselves or edit ourselves to be a version of ourselves for somebody that doesn't even matter to us? You know, it's a lot easier said than done, but once I broke up with my abusive ex-boyfriend, I had an easier time living as my most authentic self. It took me a while to come to the conclusion, but he just wasn't somebody that I cared for anymore. Of course I had love for him, but I came to the conclusion that he didn't really fit who I was anymore. And so once I left him, it was easier to get back to me being who I really was. Now I won't pretend that living as my most authentic self and figuring out who I truly am was an easy task. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Our whole lives, whether we know it or not, you're told what we need to give a fuck about. It might be subtle, it might be through like societal standards, or it might be your parents telling you what you need to care about and what you don't. And don't get me wrong, parents have some pretty good ideas of what you should care about. Maybe it's school, maybe it's hygiene. When you're younger, we don't always know that we're supposed to care about those things, but definitely listen to your parents if you're a younger viewer. It is important. But when you get older and you grow into your most authentic version of yourself, it can be hard to figure out what you're supposed to care about and what you're not, because again, we've spent our whole lives pretty much being told what we need to care about, and then once we get out on our own, it can be a little tricky to figure it out. So my best advice for figuring that out is making a list. You can make one list that's for people that you care about in your life, and you can make one list of the things that you care about in your life, and everything else is irrelevant. Everything else doesn't matter. The list can be as long or as short as you'd like, and you can edit the list as many times as you feel necessary. People might choose to do it every month. Some people might do it every year. That's up to your discretion. As often as you feel like you might need it, I say go for it. We don't always realize it, but sometimes we keep these lists in our head. We pay attention to who we feel good being around, who we get good vibes from, what we like. We certainly know what we like and what we don't like for the most part. Without really realizing it, without actually writing it down, we're making lists in our head. The reason that I do suggest writing it on paper is because you can go back and look on your personal growth or evaluate every so often. So we know that writing things down is a form of manifestation. So it's really going to help you seal the deal with yourself that you do not give a fuck about anything that's not on that list. As many people know, I like to carry my day planner with me, and there's actually a section for notes in the back. So I actually rewrote a list that I can always carry with me. Maybe you do a ritual every so often that helps you release any feelings or emotions that you're holding on to which you don't need anymore. You know, meditation in and of itself is a way to not give a fuck because it helps you release the things that you don't need. We don't realize it, but we carry around so much baggage and so many feelings, thoughts, emotions, memories which no longer serve us. And maybe we're carrying them around for a reason. Maybe they could be sentimental, and that's okay. But you have to evaluate if holding on to these things is doing more good than harm. Because sometimes we carry on to things that we think we're supposed to keep, and there's really no reason to. It's actually giving us a lot of stress. it can be hard figuring out what to keep and what to release because, again, we're taught how we should feel about certain situations, or we're taught that we should be considering certain things, and if it's not working for you, there's no reason to hold on to it. You just have to feel and dig down deep, maybe meditate on it to figure out what you need and what you no longer need. But constantly carrying around all of that extra stress, concerning ourselves with maybe people who we don't really give a fuck about, or maybe news that we don't really give a fuck about, that can be really stressful, holding on to all of that extra stuff. You need to figure out what's most important in your life, and you need to put your energy and your caring towards that instead. So that way you can care about a couple things wholeheartedly instead of trying to care about most things in a half-assed kind of way. Also, as a bit of a side note, yes, I have a bunch of breakouts on my forehead. That is a story for another day, but long story short, I messed my skin up last week. And now I am paying for the repercussions, where it is purging and just getting rid of things that it doesn't need anymore. This is what I'm dealing with right now. I'll be the first person to tell you that all of this is a process. Like, I still catch myself caring about things too much. But what really counts is that you're able to take a step back and say, hey, wait a minute, why am I getting so worked up over this? It's not something that's really that important to me. When we do have reactions or triggers to certain situations, it helps to meditate on it and go inside yourself, maybe even do a little bit of shadow work to figure out where these feelings and the reactions are coming from. What is triggering these emotions? In some cases, it can be some deep-seated stuff that we don't always realize we still have, or that we're still holding on to. Again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I always tell people to feel their feelings and feel them wholeheartedly, because that helps us work through whether it's something that we still really need or not. No, there's really no point in suppressing emotions, because they're only going to come back in the end. So by all means, feel your feelings, feel them, cry, scream, whatever you have to do, work through them, but figure out why you're having these feelings, and if there's a way that you can remove the source of these feelings, so that way you no longer need to have these feelings towards something that you really don't care that much about. So that's all I really got for today. Remember, it is a process. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have moments of anger and frustration towards yourself once you realize that maybe you're holding on to things that you don't need. But it's okay. You just keep working at yourself, and you will definitely be able to master the art of not giving a fuck. I will see you guys next week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope everybody has a great week.